Good morning, Stampers. Happy Friday. Welcome to my monthly Scrapbooking with Paper Pumpkin live. So every month I create a scrapbook layout with the monthly Paper Pumpkin kit. So welcome. Thank you for joining me this morning. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada, and I am excited to be here today to play with the Daisy Daydream Paper Pumpkin Kit, which is the March 2025 Paper Pumpkin Kit. Now, I apologize for the glare. We got a little bit of glare. The lighting isn't the best at this time of the day, but we will make it work. All right, so if you are not familiar with Paper Pumpkin is a monthly subscription kit where you get everything that you need to create whatever that month's projects are in the box. And we get little sneak peeks, but we never know what it is from month to month. This month, it was the supplies to create 9 cards, 3 each of 3 different designs. So here are the cards. So I always start by making the cards as they are intended or with a few slight modifications. So this is the first one. I added a little bit of Wink of Stella to the wings of the bumblebee on that. And this one has beautiful printed envelopes as well. Here is the second one, and there's so much dimension on these cards. They're really, really pretty. Again, I added a little bit of Wink of Stella, and here is this envelope. And then this is the third card. So you get all of the supplies, including the adhesive that you need to create all 9 cards. The only thing that you might need to add is a pair of scissors. And this month, I don't even think you needed scissors because there was no twine or anything involved. So those are the 3 projects. But then what I like to do is I like to take the contents of the kit and create some scrapbook layouts or a scrapbook layout with it and additional projects. So I am part of the APPT, which stands for A Paper Pumpkin Thing blog hop. And it's usually the first Friday of the month where we hop and we share additional project ideas using the previous month's kit. So the next hop, I think, is April, whatever the first Friday in April is, April 4th, maybe? I think it's April 4th. So be sure to stop by my blog at stamptreasures.com to see additional inspiration. I've got some fun projects to share with you. I love what I created this month. All right, so in each kit, you'll get kind of like a little instruction guide. It's photo instructions. The projects are meant to be super quick and easy. It gives you a photo of the contents of the kit. Every 3 months, they release a die set that coordinates with 3 months worth of kits. So this is the one that coordinates with this month's kit. So you can see that there's a little hive die and a little bee die. And then it tells you the colors, the Stampin' Up! Colors that it coordinates with, which really comes in handy if you're creating additional projects or just stretching your kit. Every month you get an exclusive stamp set. This is this month's stamp set. And this month we got a bonus stamp set, and it was this one here. And I love this image. And I really like this floral image as well. Really, really excited about this stamp set. Usually I don't often keep the stamp sets. I will kind of either give them away or sell them at my retired sale. But this is one that I think I will keep because I love the greetings in it. I love the font. And I love this honeycomb die or a honeycomb stamp. And the bee is super cute as well. And it is a 2-step stamp, so you can stamp the bee and then the body in yellow, and you can even stamp the wings if you want. So fun stamp set. Every month you get a Stampin' Spot. This month it's Lost Lagoon. And then you get whatever adhesive you need. So I'm going to take this out, and you can see that I don't have a lot left here. So this is kind of what I have left. I'm actually going to take this out. You know what? Let's take this out as well. So let me share. I've got kind of one of each thing. So what I do is I pull out one of each of the supplies in the kit and I save that to scrapbook with. And we're going to create a 2-page layout today, which I often don't do in videos because sometimes they take a little bit longer. But I really wanted to do a 2-page layout today. So I've got 3 of the envelopes, or one of each of the envelopes, because sometimes you can cut apart the envelopes or cut pieces off to create little accents on your projects. So I've got those. I've got the card bases, which this is one of the card bases. There we've got a plain Lost Lagoon one, and we've got this one. You can see I cut a shape out of that already. And then I've got this piece. This was popped out of here. I've got this circular piece, and then I've got all the die cut pieces I kind of put on this little tray. Okay, so that's what I've pulled out from the kit. And then I go to my stash to see what else I have that coordinates with the kit. Now, if you've got this DSP, this is the Floral Delight DSP or the Vellum from the January to April mini catalog. It's on page 35. These two products will coordinate beautifully with this kit. I don't have those products. But you know what? There's enough stuff in here, and with the stamp set, I will be able to work with that. But I have pulled out a few other things. Let me share what I've got. Okay, so I've pulled out something for my title. I'm going to use the mini alphabet set. I've pulled out this. I'm going to use this large shape here to be a title placeholder. So this is the Nested Essentials dies. These are those coordinating dies that I had mentioned. So I pulled those out. Pulled out some coordinating ink colors. So I'm using Mossy Meadow, Lost Lagoon, and Crushed Curry. I've got my Wink of Stella. And then I've pulled out some embellishments. So I wasn't sure which embellishments I was going to use. So I've got these. They're gold. They're called Gold Textured Adhesive Back Dots. I believe they were in the holiday catalog, but I'm pretty sure they carried over. And then I've got these ones, the faux glass dots, which I also think that they were in the holiday catalog and carried over. So I thought maybe this yellow. So I'm not sure which ones will work best. And then I pulled out some daffodil ribbon as well. Okay, so those are the supplies that I have. And the photos that I'm documenting today, you can see I've kind of got them matted already just to save a little bit of time. I'm kind of thinking that they're going to go like this. So these are photos of a few friends and I at Brew and Bloom, which is a local kind of restaurant cafe. It's really cute. Like look at all these florals in the background. It's super, super cute. It's a very cute store. If you are in the Edmonton or surrounding areas, I highly recommend going. We've got two of them in Edmonton, and so pretty. Even the food presents really well. We were celebrating my friend Lorna's birthday, so you can see her. Look at the plate of food there. I think that was French toast, if I remember correctly. But look how pretty. The presentation is just so pretty. So I wanted to document these photos. This was mine. I had a boring salad, chicken salad, but so those are the photos that I'm going to document, a 4x6, two 3x4s, and then I've got a little 2x2. Okay, so I've matted them on some white and then some Mossy Meadow, and we're going to go from there. So I'm going to set these aside because what I want to do, I kept this was kind of leftover. This was an 8.5 by 11 piece of, I apologize, here comes our garbage truck. This was an 8.5 by 11 piece of Mossy Meadow, and I had this piece left. So I might use that, I might not, but I just kept it out. And you can see I could put another 4x6 photo here, but I didn't have another one. But I think I'm going to put my title here. Okay, so I left that on there. All right, so what I want to do is I want to use this fabulous hexagon stamp, and I want to stamp around the edges. So I'm going to do a 2-page spread. So what I'm going to do is I like to stamp on my glass mat. So I'm going to pull in my glass mat just because I always find when I'm stamping more solid images, it works best on my glass mat. But it's hard to work on a glass mat when you're doing a 2-page spread because it's not quite big enough. So it's got sides. So I'm just going to stamp on this and then I'll slide it aside and we'll work on the layout. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to butt my 2 pages together, and actually we're going to slide a scrap piece of paper underneath. I don't always use a scrap piece of paper, but because I'm going to be moving my page around, I just don't want to get any extra ink on my page that I'm not intended. I don't want there. So I'm lining these 2 pages up. I'm going to use my Crushed Curry ink, and we'll set that on there. I'm going to take my hexagon stamp, got these 2 pages up, and this is the first one I'm going to stamp. Okay, so now I can slide this page away. I don't need this one right now, and we'll work on this one first. And I'm just going to kind of go around the edges. So some of them I might try to fit in. I apologize if my head's in the camera. Some of them I might try to fit in like this. Other ones, I don't want them to be perfectly spaced, although that does look really good lined up like that, hey? What are the chances I'll be able to line them all up, though? We're gonna rotate, have some that go a little bit higher. I'll do it this way. I can see a little bit better going this way. We'll do some that go a little bit lower. I'm not being overly careful. Some of them, if they line up nicely, then great. If not, it's not a big deal. I probably want a little bit more than that. With the glare from the light that I have on it, it's a little bit tricky to see. Okay, now these ones, looks like this one's a little bit on an angle. I love, love, love this set so much. Okay, let's rotate it around. I just don't want all of it to look exactly the same. I want there to be some variation, so some kind of stick out a little bit more. Okay, I got a little empty spot there, so let's just fill that in. Okay, do this. Okay, now are we going to go off the edge? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this second piece, because remember this piece lined up with this, so I'm going to line this up again. Make sure I'm in camera here. Bring my light over a little bit. Let's see if this makes a difference. Okay. Pull my scrap paper down a bit. So just in case I go off the page, I want to make sure it lines up nicely. I'll hold that in place while I add the next one. And then I'm going to keep going around the edge of this one. So because this is a 2-page spread, I chose not to go out down this border to make it just kind of continuous as if it was one big piece. But if I was doing a single page spread, then I probably would go around all 4 sides. Okay, now this is a little risky having to match up with both of them. This should be interesting. Okay, let's work on the top. Okay, just trying to figure out the best way to do this here. And we'll just keep going around. Has anybody played with this kit yet? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me this morning. Stampin' Up! Has done an outstanding job with their kits lately, don't you think? Like their paper pumpkin kits and even their regular kits from the kits collection, I tell you, some of them, they have knocked it out of the park. That heirloom, I can't remember, heirloom arrangements, I think it's called. That kit is absolutely stunning. I've actually got a scrapbook class where I'm using that one to create that kit to create layouts with in April because it is so beautiful. So beautiful. There's just so much ephemera in it, so much that you can do. Okay, let's see, how am I going to line this one up? All right, keep going here. We're getting there. Probably could have done one of these ahead of time, but I wanted to show you how I planned on lining it up. Let's see. Oh, I don't think I want to do that. Let's try this. Some of these are a little tricky to try to line up here, especially when I've got to line up in two different directions. Oh, look at that. It didn't line up quite right, or it didn't stamp quite right. That's okay. I'll see if I can go back in and fix that. Okay, here, what are we going to do here? Okay, I'm going to clean this. And then I'm going to see if I can ink up just a portion. Try to figure out the best. Okay, let's do this. I'll take the ink off of this one and these partial ones. And now, how did I have this lined up? I think it was like this. Okay. All right, and then we wanted to fix this here. So if I ink this up, thankfully this is photopolymer, so it shouldn't be too bad to line up. Okay, not bad. All right, so we've got our border stamped. We'll set this aside and bring back our second page. Get these lined up. Look at that. Perfect. So I got a few things down here, little extra ink marks that I don't want, but it's not too bad. I can probably cover those up with an embellishment. Okay, so we're going to bring these pieces in, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere them because I know that that's how I want them. I'm not sure where this guy's going to go just yet. And seal adhesive is always my first adhesive, my adhesive of choice when I'm scrapbooking. I don't like to use liquid glue when I scrapbook. I use liquid glue all the time when I card make, but I prefer to use a roll-on adhesive when I scrapbook. Okay, so we're lining those up with the edges of those two pages. All right, so that's going to go somewhere over there. Okay, so now let's bring in some of our pieces here. Okay, I know I want to use this piece, and this card base that I cut up. I'm actually going to cut this apart as well. So I'm just going to cut this so that it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm going to add some of these strips that we got in the adhesive kit. So these are dimensional strips onto the back of this. And then I'll cut a smaller piece for this 4th side. And then this is going to go on top of this piece here so that we have just a little bit of a mat. So I'm basically going to recreate the card front, but put it on my layout. And I want to adhere it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. Leaving a little bit of a gap of white showing. Then this piece can go in the center. And then I think this is going to go up here. Yeah, let's put that on there. So this one I didn't mat. I could mat it in some white and then some mossy meadow just like I did, but this really isn't a focal point photo. It's just something extra. So I don't need that to stand out. I really wanted these photos to stand out. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my little tray of embellishments here. So much love for this kit, hey? It is such a beautiful kit. Okay, so let's start with this one. So we're going to add this on here. So I'll take some of the dimensionals from this kit. Actually, I don't want to put a dimensional on the leaf. I want a dimensional on the 2 flowers. And then we'll use a mini glue dot from the kit. So far the only thing that I've added in from the kit is just some mossy meadow cardstock and some white cardstock and the crushed curry ink pad. Apart from that, everything else has been included in the kit. How pretty that is. Oh, I love it. All right, now we're going to work on our photo block. So I thought I loved these pieces. So I thought if I did this and then did my title across the middle, I thought that would be really pretty. But I didn't like, so I've got my title cut using that mini alphabet set. I didn't like the black on the green. I felt like it didn't pop very much. So this die from the Nested Essentials, I cut this from the other half of that card front. So this is the largest one. And I'm going to put this on here first. And we're going to put this on a flat. So I'm just kind of positioning it so it's in the center of this open space. And then I'm just going to loosely position these here for now. I want to add my title before I stick them down. And these are going to get popped up. So I'm just going to kind of position those on there. And I like to use my tweezers when I do this. Now, when I cut the mini alphabet set, I cut them from some black cardstock and I put adhesive sheets in behind. That way I can turn them into stickers and I don't have to use some messy glue to adhere them. So I'm just going to position these letters to make sure I have enough space. kind of just fits. Okay, and now I'm going to bring in my ruler. I do find it helpful to have a ruler to make sure that I put them on straight. So I'm going to slide this out of the way and slide this. So this is a quilting ruler, and I love it because it's a 6 by 12 inch quilting ruler. I love it because I can measure in 2 different directions. So I've got it lined up so that it is straight going across this way. I don't have to measure. I don't have to measure both directions this time, but oftentimes I do, especially when I want something to be in the center of a 12 by 12 layout. So it's not serving the purpose of measuring in 2 different directions at this time, but it does help me get my letters on straight. So you can see that by just peeling off the back, because I use those adhesive sheets, it turns it into a sticker. So I don't have to fuss with liquid glue and get glue all over my fingers. You can also do the same thing with our foam adhesive sheets. So if you wanted them to be like a raised title, so kind of like thickers, if you guys are familiar with thickers, you can create your own. You never run out of letters when you use your own dies and cardstock, right? And you don't end up with a bunch of Z's and W's Q's left over afterwards. You can just cut the letters that you need. Okay, so I still need to figure out where I'm going to embellish. Although I've already got a couple spots, like the title block will be quite embellished, but I've got some additional flowers that I can use, and I'll probably have to find some place to do a little bit of journaling. So I don't have a lot of journaling to do, but I do want to mention, I want to include the date, I want to include who was there and the reason for it and where we went. Okay, last letter. All right, so there is the title. Let me just get rid of this garbage here. Okay, now we can go ahead and position these. So I'm going to bring in some more dimensionals. I love that the kits include the adhesive. It really is something that you can just take and do on the go. We'll put that right about there. So if you love our paper pumpkin kits, you should definitely check out our kits collection as well. We've got some great kit collection kits. There's definitely something for everyone. There's stuff for people who like to document, so do scrapbooking or memory keeping. There's kits for kids. There's artwork, so framed pieces that you can do. There's a ton of different things. Okay, so we've got a fair bit of space over here. These are the leftover die cut pieces. So I think I want to do like a little daisy cluster up here. I'm thinking my journaling might go right here. So I'll just journal right on this background. So let's grab a few of these pieces. Now I have a few of these left over. These are the honeycomb laser cut pieces. So I can include some of those. There is also, if you run out of these, this die will cut the same thing. So I had cut some from gold thinking that I wouldn't have any of these left after creating, but I did end up having some left. So we'll use these ones. position those there. And I want to add a little bit of dimension to these flowers. So I'm going to kind of fold up the petals. So from the center, I'm folding up the petals, and then I'm going to kind of curl them down. You do want to be careful. You don't want to rip any of those petals off. And then I can fold them up again. And that just gives the flower a little bit more dimension. So I don't know how well you guys can see that, but the flower center is inset, and then the leaves are raised and kind of curled under. So that's a great way to get that kind of dimensional look. So let's do that with a couple more. I think I'm going to do 3 of them up there. Maybe we'll see how full it is. I could even do 5. I've got lots left. This will be the last project that I create because I've created the projects already for the APPT blog hop. So this will be the last of it. This is a nice big one. Let's use this one. So I can use up everything that I have left if I want. Okay, Sharon is asking, if you curl up the petals, won't they flatten when you put them in a protective page sleeve? They will flatten to a certain extent. You can also put like flat adhesive. So if you put like a mini glue dot here and little pieces of dimensional under this portion, that would keep the dimension. But I usually have my scrapbook layouts on display for a little while before I put them in the albums. And yes, they will flatten just a little bit. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I think it needs a B as well. But let's figure out, okay, let's curl up the wings. We're going to put a B on there. I'm going to put some Winged of Stella on his leaves, or his wings. And I think we'll add a B to the title block as well. And then we've got 3 more flowers here. Maybe down here, although I like to do a triangle. Let's curl this up. Maybe I'll put my journaling down here instead and do an embellishment cluster up here, just because then I've got kind of a triangle going. Okay. Do that there, and then we've got one more little one. And I think this third B, I think we might add to this guy. And I do want to add something along here. I might see if I can find some sort of greeting about friendship that I can add in there. Okay, I like that. I do feel like I need to add a little bit of green up here. This is feeling just a little bit too white with the white flowers. This one I don't mind because it's close to the stamped yellow bit. Okay, and I do have this vellum piece that I might put across like this. And then, oh, I could add some of these. I wonder. Let's bring in a couple of these. And then I'm thinking maybe, now I only have this. This isn't big enough. I'm going to grab another scrap of Mossy Meadow. see what we've got here. This might work. Okay, and then I'm going to look at my circle punches, just because circle punches are a great thing to turn to. They're just so quick and easy. Now, that might be a bit too big. Okay, let's try this one. I don't need a whole circle. So this is a 2 1/4 inch circle punch. I just want to have a bit of green kind of tucked underneath here, peeking out behind. The other thing that I could do is I could cut a 2 by 2 square, because this is 2 by 2, and just have this whole embellishment cluster on it. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. I think I would like that better. Let's try that. This is, look at that. That is about 2 by 2, or 2 inches. Let's cut. I think it's slightly larger. And I think there's a little bit more than 2 inches here. And I want it to line up with the edge of this piece. So I'm going to cut it a little bit longer. So I need it to be about, let's try 2 1/4 inches and just see how that looks. That looks good. Okay. So that will pull in that pop of green. I don't need this piece. I'll add maybe one of those behind. Is it too much? Might add this somewhere else. Might just keep it with 2 here. Yeah, I like it with just the 2. Okay, so we're going to add this on here, lining it up with this edge and with this piece here. So it's the same height as this photo, and then it meets the edge of this piece here. And then I know I said I don't use liquid glue when I scrapbook, and that's mostly for my main pieces, but for little things like this, I will use liquid glue. So I'm just using multi-purpose glue in a fine tip bottle that I purchased on Amazon. Just to add a little bit of glue on here. And let's put it this way. I think we're only going to use one there. And we'll add a dimensional to the back of this. Let's put this aside here. So if I was worried about the dimension, like the flowers flattening, I would put a mini glue dot here, and then, like I said earlier, dimensionals on kind of each one of the petals to keep them raised. I'm not too concerned about that. Let's just make sure we have our flower going the right way. And this guy, no, we're going to raise him up too. No, I like this above. Okay, this flower looks like it's upside down. Maybe it goes this way. I don't know, it's hard to tell. You know what, this one I think I'm going to put flat. And let's just use a little bit of this since it's out. Now, which way did it go? All right, we could add this one in. It just feels like it's too small compared to the rest, so I think I will save that for somewhere else. I could add it maybe in amongst my journaling when I add my journaling. That might be cute. All right, so Let's see here. We've got these label shapes. Depending on the greeting that I find, I could add this over here and then add my bee. I'm going to have to look through my stamps to see, because I don't think there was anything in, where is the stamp set for this month? Happy birthday, sweetest birthday wishes, enjoy your special day. Like, this was a birthday celebration, so any of those would probably work, but I really want to focus on the friendship more than the birthday. So I'll look through my stash to see what kind of greeting I have that would work for that. All right, we could add a bee up here, though I think I'd like it better down here. All right, so now I'm going to, let's add our Wink of Stella to our bee wings. So I'm going to bring in that scrap paper. And I'm just going to color. So Wink of Stella is like a glitter paintbrush or a shimmer paintbrush. And it's just so quick and easy. It's not messy like glitter is. And it just gives, whatever you color, it gives that little bit of shimmer. And I love to do this on like the wings of bees or dragonflies. Okay, so we've got those. I'm going to bring this back, and I was going to put this here, but it kind of gets lost. So maybe a little bit off, just so that it shows up a little bit more. Add a dimensional to the back. And we'll pop that on there. I love lots of dimension on my layouts. I know it's not for everybody. Lots of people like them flat, but I love dimension on my layouts. So I use lots of dimensionals. All right, so now we're going to adhere these. I'm going to pop a dimensional. Actually, I think we'll use a mini glue dot on this one. Okay, and I just want to figure out my positioning so that I can figure out where these guys are going to go. Okay, I think this one will go this way. All right, so we'll add a little bit of adhesive to the back of this. That on there, and then this one. Okay, and then we can adhere our flowers. Okay, so I'm going to put this one on first. And this guy's going to go on with a dimensional. And I'm going to use a couple, well, 3 on this one, just because it's a little bit of a bigger flower. Pop that on there like that. And then this guy's going to go underneath here, and I'll use a mini glue dot for that one. Whoops. Okay, I do want to be careful not to cover my mom's head there. All right, there we go. Okay, so now, does it need anything else? Oh, we have to add the rest of our bees here. see here. I'm gonna add it like that. Down here. I think I kind of want it flying in like that. We're gonna do it like that. Okay, and then we have our third bee. And like I said, this is going to go over here. I'm not going to adhere it yet because like I said, I want to figure out what greeting I'm going to stamp on here. I might have to change that sizing or that label shape. I might have to do something circular or just use a different size depending on what I stamp in there. Now, if I was pre-recording this video, I would just go look through my stamps and find something and then pause it and come back. But because this is live, I don't want you guys to sit here and wait for me to go through it. So when I post a photo of the layout, which will be in today's blog post, I will put a link to the blog post so you can see the finished layout, which will include my journaling, which I'll have down this side here. And I think I am going to try to include this little flower in amongst my journaling. I think that would really be really cute and a great way to use that up. But I do want to finish off. Now I have ribbon. I think I think what I'm going to do. So this is Daffodil Delight ribbon. The yellow in this kit is actually crushed curry. But you know what? It's yellow. It works. I think what I might do is tie a bow. Let's do this a little bit better here. I always like to include ribbon or twine. I love this ribbon because it is so narrow. And you can tie a bow and it doesn't add too much bulk. I'm thinking this I'll put over here somewhere. So maybe underneath I'll do this and then this and then this. So something along those lines. But again, I'll determine that once I figure out what I'm going to stamp over there. And then I want to finish off with some dots. So let's see which ones work better. Do I want to use these ones, which are a bit more muted, or the gold, which are very bright? I don't know if either of them will work. Let's see. Well, the gold is better. I don't know, but are they too much? I don't like them. Okay, let's see what else I've got here. Let's set this aside and let me grab my embellishment bin. All right, let's see what we've got for yellow or gold. So these are all current ones, although I don't need to use yellow or gold. I could use something just kind of iridescent like that, or pearls. I've got these yellow ones. Those might be okay. Got some green ones, although this is a different color green. Let's see what else I've got. Got gold hearts, but I don't want hearts. These are some new ones. I think these are crushed curry. Those might work. And then I've got some birds. No, I don't want birds. Okay, let's check these ones out. Okay, let's start with these ones. I don't mind those. I like that they're not quite as big. I think one of the things with these, like the yellow is a little bit off, and then these are just so big. I guess I could have used these other two sizes, but I like the sizing of that. So that is a good option. These I think would get lost because I probably will put them on the white. So I'm going to skip those. But let's check these out. These are something new. They're called Starburst Sequence. I think they're part of the online exclusives. Oh, these could be cute. Okay, guys, which ones do I use? Do I use these ones, which are called the Starburst sequence, or do I use these ones, which are called Dots for Days? Post in the comments and let me know which ones I should use because I'm torn. I think either of them would work really well. The detail on these is kind of fun, but maybe I want to go with something simple since I've got all this stamping around the edges. I'm not sure. I don't know. Tell me what to use. All right, I'm just going to give it a minute here so that I can see your comments. And then let's see. And then I think we'll probably be done. I actually really like how this turned out. Okay. All right, let's see here. I don't know how long it takes for the comments to come up, but maybe I'll go through a couple things before I decide just to see if any comments come in. So if you are not yet a Paper Pumpkin subscriber and you live in Canada, I do have a link in the description where you can find out more information on how to subscribe. You can go month to month. You can pause your subscription. You can purchase a 3-month prepaid subscription, 6-month or 12 months. I highly recommend, if you're trying it out, I highly recommend a 3-month subscription. Give it a try for 3 months. That gives you it gives it a fair go, and see what you think. You can always pause your subscription. If you see sneak peeks of something to come and you really don't love it, you can always pause it. And yeah, I highly recommend it. It's so, so fun. All right. And I will include also a full supply list of anything additional that I've used in the comments as well. And like I said, I'll go back and link the blog post once it goes live. Okay, so I see dots for days. We've got to vote for dots for days. So we're going to go ahead and use those. All right, and I'm going to put, actually, you know what? I think I might do them down here just so it's not so close to the yellow that's up at the top. I'm going to do 3 of them here. And I haven't pushed them down because I might rearrange. I like to kind of give myself the flexibility to rearrange as I see fit. I'm going to add some onto this green. I'm going to add 2 of them on here. So we're at 5. And then I think I'm going to go up here and do a couple up here. So I've got 7. I like to have odd numbers. All right. Okay, so I think we are good for now. Like I said, I will go back in. I'm going to add my journaling down here, and then I will find a greeting to stamp on there. But that is kind of what it looks like. And I actually really like how it turned out. I wasn't 100% sure just how much I would like this border, but I love it. It turned out so cute. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. And I will be back next week with a video, but I will not be live next week because it's retreat weekend for me. So from Thursday to Sunday, I will be off in Vegreville crafting with friends. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.